Hi, Masa speaking. How to learn faster from books. 3 decisive factors. Why should I care about this topic? Google recently listed out top soft skills that I look for from employees. The 7 top skills Google now looks for in graduates. Out of 7 skills, 4 are related to social, like emotional intelligence, etc. And 3 are related to thinking, problem solving, connecting ideas with new learning. We have to constantly update our knowledge. That's the world we live in now, in this information economy. But the school never really teaches you how to read, how to learn. They just give you a bunch of reading assignments, and by next week you have to read this textbooks, certain pages. It's always a brute force. So this does mean you don't like reading books? Well, read more books. That's why if you Google it, there are tons of topics around how to read 10 books a week or how to speed read. But what if there is a way to learn better? We can't use up all your time in reading. Also, we all have 24 hours a day, and Google says social skills is as important as these learning skills. So where can you cultivate your social skills if you spend all your time in reading? We want to divide the time according to Mr. Google, right? So what if there is an efficient way? So we can learn faster, retain more information from one reading, understand better, and remember more. So what is the research saying? It's by George Mason University and some others. It's from 2009. They gathered 205 students. They wanted to test what factors actually improve their reading skills. So they tested their comprehension skill twice. The first time in September, and they tested again in 3 months around December. So they wanted to test what made the most improvement in the comprehension. So in that duration of 3 months, they had some tests. So out of these 3, motivation, background knowledge, cognitive strategy use, and this is basically question generation. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. So the result came out this. So the third most impactful was background knowledge. So the test was about ecological topic. They checked how much they knew about animals and plants in the ecosystem beforehand. So the ecological being pond, desert, forest. So for example, they knew how many eggs snakes have, or how big is the rats in the wild are. So the second impact was question and answering. Students were asked to read text for a few minutes beforehand. Based on the text you get, they wrote down what they want to know about. And question quality was assessed. So level 1 being they asked about factual yes/no question. For example, how long is this snake? You have these questions generated. They asked about ecological concept. They also asked the concept, but with some background knowledge they had. For example, if they know how long a snake is, then they might ask how many minutes it takes for them to hatch from the eggs. At the highest level of question asking was they asked relationship among the concepts. So do snakes use their fangs to kill their enemies as well as poison their prey? So they needed to know about this fang and killing the enemies, and they needed to know prey. The quality of question gets more complicated as it goes. So this had the second most impact. And the biggest impact that they had on how much they observed from the book was motivation. It was their favorite topic that they were reading, or a favorite author. Those guys think deeply often about the context in the text. How confident are they to finish reading? That's self-efficacy. They enjoy discussing books with their peers after, and they read independently as well. I think this list is a little bit too broad. So I think it's a better way to think about it in terms of intrinsic motivation. So it's the psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So what do they mean actually? So it's about not because you have to read this text, but you're actually interested in it. So intrinsic being like, you like exercising like every day, go out for running because it makes you feel good. And the bad way, it's extrinsic motivation. What's extrinsic motivation is you have to exercise because your doctor told you so, or your mom told you to run because it's good for you, but you don't actually believe in it. So this has a huge impact. So compared to the background knowledge was not relevant at all. These two had the most impact, especially motivation. So how can we use this knowledge? Yeah, again, the good news is you don't need to have a good background knowledge before reading that text. So for those who didn't grow up reading lots of books, it's not a bad news. You can still catch up, or you can still get on the same stage as others. So Elon Musk famously said he taught all his rocket science knowledge just by reading text. I believe he had a double degree in physics and economics, but nothing to do with rocket science. After selling his startup, PayPal, he just started reading text. I think he borrowed a bunch of textbooks from his friend about rocket, and you can just now like you can build a rocket ship that shoots up to Mars. It's incredible. So yeah, background knowledge is not necessary. You can always like start from the zero. Here, like motivation is the key, and it sounds obvious, but it's not about you should pick a book that you are interested in. Well, that's one case, but there is another way to increase your motivation as well. Like sometimes you don't have a choice. Teachers give you to read certain book, or your companies force you to read some books, or you have to read this for your, jobs, but you might not be interested. Motivation is about asking yourself the right type of questions. So in textbooks, you should definitely check out exam and practice questions beforehand if there is. But sometimes if there's none, you still need to come up with your own questions. So let us walk through one book. I'm picking this Amazon's best non-fiction seller of 2020, Where the Crawdads Sing. I haven't read this. To be honest, I had zero interest before reading this. I'm usually a non-fiction guy. It was published in 2018, and it's been 2 years in the bestseller shelf, so that's a little bit of curiosity here. So that's a good way to start off. Here's the synopsis. I'm not gonna read all. You can stop the video and check it out if you're interested. But it's basically about a girl who grew up in this wild nature, and she transforms herself after meeting these two men. So what kinds of questions can we make? So it's a lot harder than self-help genre. Like in self-help, all the takeaways are listed in the bullet forms. So just by reading the chapters, you can kind of tell what you're gonna get out of it. And they always have the answers ready for you. Fictions are not that easy. But as I have another video saying about getting social intelligence from reading fiction. Fiction is an integral part in building our emotional intelligence and empathy level. Helps in various ways, interacting with humans. Again, going back to the Google thing, 4 out of 7 soft skills they look for is your interpersonal communication skills, right? So let's talk about relatedness. How is it related to yourself? I never grew up in the marsh. This book is about a girl in marsh. I never been to North Carolina either. But with social isolation I've been having with coronavirus, and I've been always preparing these YouTube videos nowadays. A lot of work involved this solo time. In fact, I never seen my friend except one time in the past 3 months. So it's been a lot of self-thinking going on. So how did Kaya, this main character, handle this solitude situation? Can I build this non-social resilience from her lifestyle? How can she sustain her productive life? Is there a tip in the way she looks at the world? Living the solitude can be challenging sometimes, right? So how is it related to the previous book that I read? Educated is the book I've read before. It's about a girl who grew up in this huge wildlife in mountain. She grew up self-taught. Her dad never believed in school, so she spent like the whole childhood by herself, reading only Bibles and stuff. And then she ends up going to like Oxford, and it's an incredible story. It's autobiography, like it's a real true story. So I might ask, like, is there a common theme between the two books? And it's like wild nature and like self-education, etc. And competence. So what's like life lesson from the main character like I can take away from? I'm trying to teach myself now how to make a good YouTube video these days. So questions I might ask is there a tip of self-teaching like I can learn from this main character Kaya? She always learned from nature. That's what the synopsis said. So how can she learn just by herself? So this story is about romance, and I'm not that into romance right now. But it can be about opening the world, like, or a new perspective by meeting new people. So the questions you might ask is, what kind of gaps exist in this wildlife and this town people? So like I live in the city right now, as I'm sure most of you are. Like, will you get new inspirations by going or traveling to like countryside and like start having a conversation with the locals at the bar? Like, will you get more insight into life? Is there a source of creativity from going such route? And the book talks about wild beauty, right? I'm trying to make this video more present. So, you know, what is wild beauty? Does it apply to the nature? Can I make beautiful film in the nature? So I see a lot of like vloggers, they go into nature and like they walk around the forest and start making a dialogue to the video. Does that form fit better than this style of static video communication? I don't know. Might be, maybe. It's certainly more relaxing, right? Maybe one day I'll try it. So the ultimate reading technique here is stop jumping into the book. I know you get excited when you like first get the book or you order it Amazon, like it just arrives in 3 days and then you just open it up, start reading right away. Like this mentality is especially true if your focus is like how many books I have to read, 3 books a week. Don't do that. Like spend at least 30 minutes beforehand going this question and answering and motivation preparation and getting the right mindset, so to speak. Like it seems too long at 30 minutes preparation, but if it boosts your comprehension for like 30%, and like you probably spend 10 hours, 20 hours on one book, 30% boost is like, it's well worth it, right? So like first read the synopsis. Reviews are good too. Think of like how others digested the information. For fiction, like I usually stay with the synopsis, like I don't want to spoil myself. But you know, it's still worth checking out the chapters. So what's your biggest motivation today? It's always nice to keep in mind, not just for books, but for life in general. Works, you know, want to get better at works, schools, health, better health, lose weight, better relationship. Make sure in this perspective you feel connection with the book. Not just because it's popular and it's on the top shelf in the Amazon seller or you see all the time in the bookstore. This little trick you ask yourself changes how much we can absorb from a book. Then come up with questions, 3 to 5 questions in the beginning. Now in this process we came up with 9 here. Not bad. We just spent like maybe 10 minutes on it. And you know, as you answer them, you get more questions like, oh, like I didn't get that part, like what would happen? So you can start adding more questions and always, you know, go back to the book, come back to the questions and answer them, and then have more questions and go back to the book, etc. Not only you retain more information this way, you can skip unimportant details that you don't care about. And like, you know, sometimes like this little detail, like some small paragraphs or little like trivia facts, you know you're not gonna remember them in like 1 year, but you just have to, like you end up reading them because it's there. and now you can easily skip them. And you can also read faster at the end of the day because you can kind of jump through, like you can jump to the section that you want to get the information out of. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, please hit like or subscribe. I'm making videos about how to improve our lives with scientific findings. Don't forget to check out Kaffae Extension. It boosts your memory, critical thinking, and self-reflection from reading online. It's all automatic and free. So see you next time.